Welcome back in. It is Sports by the Book special edition. NCAA tournament field is set. The field of 68 we know, and we're going to be looking at the East region in this episode. And joining me, you saw him also on the South region preview. Of course, one of the hosts of the Sports Gambling Podcast, him and Ryan Kramer do an amazing job as always, and the founder of the SGPN network as well. Our good friend Sean Green with us right now. Sean, welcome to the Duke Invitational of the East region right now.
Yes, it is. You're looking at this bracket, trying to talk yourself out of Duke. It really feels like when you have, they're amazing. Cooper Flagg, we expect to be there. This is a good question for you.
Sure.
Do we think we see Cooper Flagg in these first two games? You don't need him against Mount St. Mary's or American. Do you hold him out for another game? Where do you think they bring him in? Because I feel like if it was the national championship game, he could be playing on Friday, right?
It's an interesting question. You don't play him on Friday night or Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
There's no need. What, like, you're going to be, that's the one other thing that's kind of stood out in these regions. Like, Houston and Florida are both pushing 30-point favorites. Auburn might be 40 against the winner of that play-in game. Duke could be 37 against American or Mount St. Mary's. It's crazy. I would not play him on Friday. You need him on the Sunday. We'll get into it, but if it's Baylor's talented enough to stun. It's just a matter of putting it together in one piece, which they haven't done in a very long time. But, yeah, I would not play him until Sunday. Or maybe hey, Cooper, you're going to start the game on Friday night. You're going to play about 12 minutes. We'll play you for about 6 minutes in the first half, 6 minutes in the second half. That would be the only thing I would do on that, Sean. But it's a good question. It's an interesting one, at least to look at going into this tournament. You bring up the playing game. Sean, I actually have a play on the playing game. I like American against Mount St. Mary's. AU, who was, again, going into the Patriot League final, I actually bet them to win that Patriot League tournament, pre-tournament, as ridiculous as that may sound, but was on them, got there with ease. Mount St. Mary's was a 6 in the MAC with 2 A's, which was way down this year. I just think AU's better, and I'm a little bit surprised that AU got sent here instead of SIU Edwardsville. I thought that should have been flipped. But I do like American laying 2.5 in this one, Sean. Total is ridiculously low at 129.5 on this game.
Should be a great watch, but yes. No, I'm with you. As someone who's I'm from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania originally.
Yep.
My dad and my mom went to Lehigh, so I do watch the Patriot League basketball. And you're right, American has been the machine. Normally, it's just you put in Colgate automatically for the Patriot League, but I think they're a good team. And laying 2.5 against Mount St. Mary's, I'm with you. I think they cover this number fairly easily. So I like that. I like them as well here.
There we go. What can go wrong in those playing 16 games? As we know, nothing for the bettors that we are, Sean. All right, let's go to Friday. This is the first game of the day on Friday, and it kind of feels like now that Mississippi State is stuck in the purgatory of playing that 9:15 Pacific game on Friday morning against the 9 seed that they probably will lose to, and that's kind of how I feel about this game. Last year it was Michigan State. This year it's Baylor. The market is starting to bet Baylor here after an initial push on Mississippi State. It got up to 2. Now a lot of the books have moved back to 1.5. South Point is still at 2. I would grab the best money line number available now as you are listening to this on Baylor, because I think this game's closing pick. Baylor's much more talented. It's really just a question more so than anything of will Baylor put it together? They've just been wildly inconsistent, Sean.
Yeah, no, a great handicap of it. I see it the same way. I mean, Mississippi State. Oh man, as someone who's bet on Mississippi State, you always feel frustrated. I feel like even when they're playing okay, there's just something about their game that's not that conducive. It does feel like they lean in more on like a rock fight type game, and Baylor's offense I think is just too efficient for Mississippi State. I think they get it done here. So yeah, I'm with you. Baylor lay the 2. Or sorry, Baylor's getting the 2.
Well, you're getting 2, even better. I mean, I would if you told me Baylor came 2-point favorite, I probably wouldn't have balked at it when it happened, Sean.
No, yeah, same. I thought they were gonna be a small favorite.
Let's go to Seattle. This is the late night game on Friday night up in the Pacific Northwest. Easy travel for the Ducks. They get to take out Liberty. This is a really weird game for me to handicap because Liberty kind of feels like they're in the tournament more years than not now, and they don't win. They other than the 1 year they pulled the upset, they don't win in the tournament. Ducks are very well coached, playing great up until that loss to Michigan State. A lot of the market just moved to 7 on this, still 6.5 behind me as we talk right now, Sean. Recording this at about 5 o'clock Eastern time on Monday. But I would be very careful of making any sort of bet in this game. I really don't know what to do here.
I've been, now maybe this is my Oregon to win the region, or sorry, Oregon to get to the Final Four, which I placed before, earlier on in the season before I realized they were going to be a Duke's region, of course. Because I love what I've seen out of this Oregon team. Like, they've closed really strong. I like the Dana Altman team. Liberty is, of course, the worst free throw shooting team in the tournament. Something I always look to fade here, especially if you're going to be laying the 6.5, even a 7. I like Oregon. I like what I've seen this second half of the season. So I do like Oregon in this spot. I think they win. I think they get the cover. I understand the hesitancy, laying a decent-ish number, but I'm on Oregon here.
Yeah, you got a lot more conviction than I do here, Sean. Again, this Liberty team is like, they're always a slow playing team. They always want to grind you out. But again, when you have a well coached team like Oregon always is under Altman, you usually find a way to win those type of games when you have more talent. Now a team that I don't think is particularly well coached, Arizona, the 4 seed in this East region, taking on Akron. Sean, I know in another one of these videos I have a similarly sized dog outright, and this is my another big bomber one for me. Yes. This is 14 that's available on Akron. I already have it, and I'm probably going to bet it another 3 or 4 times, which we all know will happen, then Arizona win by 25. But here's my problem with Arizona, and this is always the case with Tommy Lloyd, where we have seen Tommy Lloyd now in the tournament 3 times. Okay, he had, I thought, the best team in the tournament 3 years ago. They get clobbered by Houston, a well-coached team in the Sweet 16. I thought he had a team that should have made the Elite Eight 2 years ago. They inexplicably lose to Princeton in round 1. Last year, I had them in the Sweet 16, and then I had them losing to not Clemson, but I forget who the 3. I guess it was Baylor, actually. I had them losing to Baylor. Once I saw Clemson upset Baylor, I'm like, all right, Tommy Lloyd's going to make the Elite Eight. No, of course not. They lose to Clemson last year in the Sweet 16. He has perfected the lose a round, at least a round earlier than he was supposed to in his early tenure. Now, this is a big ask, a huge ask, because I don't know if Akron has the athletes in order to realistically win this game outright. But John Gross is a great mid-major coach. He's been in the tournament a ton. He made the Sweet 16 with Ohio. Geez, that was eons ago, but he did back in 2012. But this is a big coaching mismatch to me, and I love taking coaching mismatches in this tournament. Plus 14's a play for Akron for me, and I'm going to sprinkle on that money line as well. 8-1 is a nice size price here on the Zips.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your conviction. I'm with you on not wanting to take Arizona laying this big number. Akron and the points, I think, is the way you have to go. I don't know if I'm quite there on the money line, but yeah, I mean, Arizona is a really tough team to trust, especially laying this big of a number. This is a number that I was kind of surprised at. Obviously, Akron coming out of the MAC. And to your point, like, do they have the horses? Do they have the athletes to compete with them? You have, obviously, Caleb Love on the other side, which makes things interesting and maybe a tough out here for Akron. But they are well coached. They're catching a ton of points. I don't think they're going to get blown out. So Akron and the points is the way to go.
Sean, now we go to what I think is one of the toughest games to handicap in this entire tournament, which is BYU and VCU on the bottom of the bracket in the 6-11 game. I like both of these teams. I think VCU is a legitimately good team that apparently they needed to win that A-10 tournament to even get in, which surprised me a little bit. BYU, up until just getting shellacked by Houston on Friday night, had been playing as well as anyone in the whole country. This is 3. This is in Denver. on Thursday afternoon, a total of 146.5. This is a super hard handicap, Sean.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is it's one of those, like, you kind of feel you're a little bummed that they're playing each other, because I think the market was kind of underrating both here a little bit. But ultimately, I will take BYU laying the points because I just love what I've seen out of this BYU team, especially in the second half of the season. We were tracking this. I don't know if you it kind of went viral. The Conor McGregor, where he showed up on the BYU campus. I don't know if you remember that. And everyone's like, why is Conor McGregor at BYU? Apparently, he has some energy drink that he was promoting on the campus. Since then, they really kind of went on a run there. There was like middle of February, some decent quality wins. You know, they beat Arizona. They beat Kansas. They beat a lot of good teams, and I think just kind of hit the wall there against Houston. They shot the lights out against Iowa State, and so I think the shooting was bound to regress there. But the last thing that I would throw in there is that VCU obviously had to play a bunch of games in the conference tournament, and now this is another one of those elevation games. I love a good college basketball elevation handicap. So BYU coming from Provo, 4,500 feet. Richmond, obviously, 200 feet. So the elevation difference and the games that VCU had to play to get here, I like BYU laying the short number.
All right, I was leaning towards BYU. You might have gotten me all the way there, Sean. And the
elevation's a great egg. It's in Denver.
It's the greatest one of all time. We know this. And it's funny because we'll get to the next game, but it is kind of funny to me that Conor McGregor went and promoted an energy drink on BYU's campus of all places.
Yes,
of all places. Just very interesting to me, to say the very least. Wisconsin, Montana. Look, there is a little bit of an elevation discrepancy here as well, Sean, but I'll just say this, though. With watching the Big Sky, and I was a big Northern Colorado guy, I thought that they were the best team in that league. Montana beat them in the conference championship game when Montana was legitimately shooting 82% midway through the second half of that conference title game last week. I think this, even with again, Wisconsin playing deep into the Big Ten tournament, I think this is a really good matchup for Wisconsin. But, Sean, as you and I both know, when you're built predominantly on three-point shooting in this tournament, you can always be susceptible to something ridiculous when you're not making your threes.
Yeah, and one of the trends, we do a segment on the podcast. The podcast just dropped, the March Madness betting commandments, like stuff to always look at, stuff that historically has paid off, just kind of ways to approach breaking down these games, because there's a bunch of them, and obviously any sort of cheat codes you can find certainly helpful. One is always looking at that free throw percentage. Teams that are 77% and above, usually a great opportunity there, because it's not quite factored all the way into the number. It really applies when the spread is a little shorter, like 6 or less, and you have a team that's shooting 77%. Obviously, Wisconsin's up to 80% from the line. Man, it feels like this is going to be a game where it's like hanging on the number. I don't really love either side here. You pointed out the elevation. I don't know if that's good enough to get the 12-1. That feels like a bit of a stretch, but could Wisconsin have a 10-minute run where, as you're pointing out, they rely on the three ball, they get a little cold? I could see Montana backdooring this, or not even backdooring necessarily, but like hanging around, making this like a 9-point loss. I don't feel great on either side here, honestly.
Yeah, this is not a great betting game, in all honesty. Maybe we'll bet Montana first to 15, and we'll have a fun old time with that.
Yeah, there could be something like that. The first to 15, definitely. I'd like Montana much more there than full game.
Let's go to St. Mary's and Vanderbilt next. This is a very difficult handicap for me as well. Huge contrast to styles in this game, as we know. Vandy wants to run. St. Mary's plays comically slow. It's the Gales as 4-point favorites with a total of 136. I advanced St. Mary's in my bracket, Sean, but I couldn't find a betting angle in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is this is a tough one as well. I would probably look to Vandy here because I didn't really like how they St. Mary's finished finish their season there. It feels a little. Yeah, obviously they just lost to Gonzaga, but I don't know. Like, I feel like they kind of needed that win to have some momentum and not feel like the little brother and get over that hump. Vandy's just been they've really Vandy has exceeded expectations in a lot of random spots. And so the fact that they're a dog here, which is kind of the situation where they've thrived in all season, it does feel like St. Mary's wins, but I don't know if they get the cover. So I'm not doing much here. It feels like it's probably a 1 bucket game. Like I would, the line should probably be 2.5, 3. So maybe Vandy, but I don't feel great about it.
If it came 3, I wouldn't have even hesitated and looking at it like, that feels right. Like would kind of lean to your thinking, but again, it's just such a hard game. I'm not a huge Vandy buyer either, and I'm with you that St. Mary's, even with beating Gonzaga twice in the regular season. They're always one that scares me in this sort of setting where you play that slow, you have a bad shooting night against a team that plays fast. We saw last year, Grand Canyon ran them out of the building in the second half a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
All right, 2:15 here. Alabama, amazingly, does not have the highest total of round 1, Sean. That belongs to Arizona and Akron, who have a higher total right now. 165.5, Alabama, Robert Morris, 22.5. My rule of thumb with Bama is I'm betting the over unless if something strange happens. I will likely be on the over here, even though probably going to need 95 from Bama in order to get there here in this one.
Yeah, and that probably isn't a problem against Robert Morris. I mean, Alabama should just boat race them here. That being said, like I don't know how hard a defense they're going to play, and the back door could be open for Bobby Moe. So I think looking towards the total there is probably the play. The 215 stuff, the 116 stuff, it's always tough to mess with because the spreads are just so massive. So I would say over, and then I probably would take Alabama laying the 22.5 if I had to, just because it's they're just such a talent discrepancy here.
Huge athleticism gap too, and the Horizon League I had as one of my lower leagues. Robert Morris won a regular season and post, so credit to them at least being here. But the whole different ball game against the Tide here in this one. All right, Sean, who comes out of this region? Who can dethrone Duke, or is this just a Duke coronation into San Antonio?
Yeah, as much as I'd like to get cute and give you a long shot to win this, I certainly do have my Oregon Final Four, which I'm rooting for, but feel way worse now that Duke's in it. I think Duke's winning the region. I don't like some of the other stuff like. Talk me out of Duke winning the region, right? Oregon's my crazy long shot, but I don't even feel great about it now at the price. It's at 22-1. Got it at 35-1, so I'm fine, I guess. I got some CLV. We'll see what it's worth. But it does seem like it's going to be Duke or who? If not Duke, then who? Right? So
it's interesting because that was when I saw this region. I'm like, they gave Duke the easiest region, which shocker the committee did that. Yeah. But here's the argument for not Duke, and it only comes from the bottom of this region. Unless if Baylor puts together a game that I thought they've been capable of all year and pulls that shocker, it might not even be enough to be that. I don't see anyone in the top other than Baylor having a realistic shot against them. BYU, Wisconsin, and Alabama, Sean, are all really interesting to me because they all play hyper three-point shooting styles. And if Duke draws them on the wrong day, Alabama, BYU, and Wisconsin are all capable of doing it. Now, I think Alabama is your most logical choice. They're the best team. I did actually put Bama into my Final Four because I just think in these bracket pools, I think Duke's going to get to the Final Four in like some absurd number of brackets this year. Like you're just trying to pick off some sort of point more so than anything. But Bama would be the only one to look at. But in the end, it is very hard unless if Cooper Flagg is unable to play, which could still happen. I just don't see Duke losing before the Final Four. Now, different ball game when they see Houston in the Final Four. But again, I have Bama in my bracket, but I do think when it's all said and done, if you're just doing it without trying to be a little bit different, it probably is a Duke play more so than anything.
No, yeah, you're right. And Alabama obviously has a very high ceiling, and I good call out on the Wisconsin and BYU shooting. BYU, I mean, God bless them if they get hot. I'll certainly be rooting for it. That would be a really fun story. I just worry when it comes to a completely balanced team like Duke, it's going to be trouble. And same thing with Alabama. Like it's just all offense or nothing. Their matchup against Duke, that would be tough for them, I think. But certainly it's possible. And we'll see. Like, if you have that rolled ankle, as someone who has bad ankles genetically, once you roll it that first time, you're a little more susceptible at rolling it the second time because that muscle's loosened up. So maybe things get wonky here for Duke. But if Cooper flags, 90-ish%, it does feel like they're going to be a tough out in this region. But I'm with you. I don't have them winning it at all.
No, I will save it for later in the week, but I think it's Houston's year. I really do. But we'll see. Again, like I said, sick chalk at the end, Sean. Like legitimately, my Elite Eights are 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-3. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what it is. At least it'll be high.
You got some juicy upsets to start things off.
Sure, but look, high quality at the end is good. I know everyone loves the Loyola Chicago's of the world, but when the chalk gets to the end, the games get better in the Elite Eight and the Final Four.
Yeah, when Cinderella gets to the Final Four and then she's getting dunked on and turned it into a glass slipper, it's not quite as fun. We want to see the Cinderella win a game or two, get a little hope, and then crushed by the better team because we ultimately do want to see the best teams.
Well, we love DJ Burns until Zach Edey destroyed him in the Final Four a year ago. So there you go.
Exactly.
There you
Great
go.
Example.
He's Sean Green, Sports Gambling Podcast, SGPN as well, at Sean T. Green on the tweets. Sean, pleasure as always, man. Thanks for hanging with us on the East preview. Also, Sean was on the South preview as well. And good luck with everything you got going into this tournament.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
This has been the Sports by the Book special for the East region of the NCAA tournament. All 4 regions available on the YouTube page at Sports by the Book on Twitter as well. If you want to follow us, our shows all week long for the NCAA tournament, normal time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday, and then 8:30 on Saturday morning and 9 a.m. on Sunday. Big thanks to our crew, Ryan, Drew Dog, Jerry, Vince, Sean, and Caden as well. Check out all the previews. Make sure you click along the bottom and make sure you're following Sports by the Book. Always live here at the South Point Studio. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Parles.
And I'm Alex White. Thank you for watching this clip of Sports by the Book. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe.
We live stream the show right here every day on this channel. Also, you can catch the podcast version on your favorite podcast platform.
All the links are in the description below. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.